The midday sun baked the military training grounds, heat shimmering off the asphalt. Beyond the rifle range, Navy SEALs moved in perfect synchrony, their bodies a blend of muscle, discipline, and precision. From a distance, Amara Lewis watched silently, clutching the visitor's badge clipped to her jacket. She wasn't supposed to be here, not really. Her uncle, Chief Petty Officer Marcus Lewis, had pulled strings to get her on base for the day. "You'll love it," he had said with a grin. A chance to see how the best of the best train. Amara wasn't so sure. At 19, she was the kind of girl most people underestimated, slim, quiet, and with an unassuming air that made her nearly invisible. But there was a fire in her eyes that even her uncle didn't fully understand. As she walked past rows of Navy rifles stacked neatly on the racks, she felt the weight of the room's attention shift. 2 officers glanced her way, clearly surprised to see a civilian near the range. Then came a deep, booming voice from behind. "Hey, kid, this isn't a playground. You lost?" Amara turned slowly to face him. A tall man in a crisp uniform approached, his hat perfectly angled, his face hardened by decades of command. "Colonel Rickson. The base legend." "I'm not lost, sir," Amara said politely. "I came with my uncle." Rickson studied her with a skeptical frown. "Chief Lewis's niece? You don't look like SEAL material." Something in her chest tightened. "Don't rise to it," she told herself. But when her gaze swept across the range and saw rifles glinting in the sun, she couldn't stop herself from speaking. "Sir, could I try the range?" The colonel froze. Then he threw his head back and laughed, a deep, mocking sound that drew stares from the nearby SEALs. "You? On this range?" he scoffed. "Sweetheart, this isn't a video game. These weapons aren't toys. They're meant for warriors." Amara's jaw tightened. "I know what they're meant for, sir." Rickson smirked. "Oh, I bet you do. Tell you what, when you're done fixing your nails and posting selfies, maybe we'll let you hold one." The group of SEALs chuckled under their breath, but Amara didn't flinch. She stepped closer to the colonel, her eyes steady. "Sir, let me shoot," she said firmly. "Just one chance. That's all I'm asking." Rickson's smile widened. "One chance, huh? Fine. But don't cry when you miss every shot. SEALs train for years to hit what you're about to aim at." As he barked orders to prepare the range for her, Amara's heart began to pound, not from fear, but from anticipation. She had been waiting her whole life for a moment like this. The SEAL training range fell silent as Amara stepped forward. Every pair of eyes was fixed on her, some amused, some curious, and a few openly hostile. The sound of boots crunching against gravel echoed as she approached the rifle stand. Colonel Rickson stood off to the side, arms folded across his broad chest, his smirk firmly in place. "All right, little lady," he drawled, "here's how this works. 10 rounds. Targets set at 500 yards. That's the distance most civilians can't even see clearly. You get one chance to hit at least one. If you don't, you walk away, understood?" "Yes, sir," Amara replied calmly. Rickson nodded to a SEAL nearby, who handed her a standard-issue M4 rifle. The man's fingers lingered as he passed it over, as if he half expected her to drop it. She didn't. Instead, she checked the weapon expertly, her fingers moving over the safety and adjusting the sights as though she'd done it 100 times. Rickson arched an eyebrow. Where the hell did she learn to do that? "Impressive little show," he said aloud, "but knowing how to hold it won't help you hit a single target." Amara didn't answer. She stepped up to the firing line and knelt, planting the butt of the rifle firmly against her shoulder. She took a deep breath, her heartbeat slowing. In her mind, she heard her late father's voice, "Breathe. Focus. The rifle isn't just a tool, it's an extension of you." Her finger curled around the trigger. The first shot cracked across the range, echoing like thunder. A small red light blinked on the distant target. "Bullseye." The SEALs muttered in surprise. Rickson's smirk faltered. Amara didn't pause. Her movements were smooth, controlled, fire, adjust, fire. One by one, the red lights lit up across the targets. 2, 3, 4. By the 7th shot, the murmurs turned into stunned silence. When the 10th shot fired, the range's automated voice chimed, all targets hit. Record time, 48 seconds. Rickson's face drained of color. That wasn't just a good performance. That was a base record. Amara set the rifle down gently, stood, and turned to face him. Her voice was steady. "Permission to clean up my selfie nails, sir," she said softly, holding up her grease-stained hands. The SEALs burst out laughing, not at her, but at the colonel, whose face burned red. For the first time in years, he had nothing to say. The laughter rippled across the range like a wave, cutting through the heavy air. The SEALs who had been watching with folded arms now stared wide-eyed at Amara. Some were shaking their heads in disbelief. Others broke into grins as they exchanged murmurs. "Did you see her grouping?" one whispered. "Dead center, every damn shot." That was faster than Peterson's record, wasn't it? Amara stood quietly by the rifle stand, her hands folded in front of her. She wasn't gloating. She wasn't smiling. Her calm made her seem even more intimidating. Colonel Rickson's face was tight with tension as he strode toward her. His boots struck the gravel hard, his jaw clenched so tight it looked like it might crack. "Who taught you to shoot like that?" he barked, stopping inches from her face. Amara didn't flinch. "My father, sir." "Your father?" "Yes," she said simply. "Master Chief Lewis. Navy SEAL." A stunned silence fell over the range. The name hung in the air like thunder before a storm. Rickson's eyes flickered with recognition. He took a step back. "Master Chief Elijah Lewis, that's your father?" "Yes, sir." A wave of realization swept over the watching SEALs. They had all heard of Master Chief Lewis, the legendary marksman who once held the range record Amara had just broken. He was a myth among SEALs, a ghost story told to new recruits about what true precision looked like. Rickson's voice softened. He was one of the finest men I ever served with." "I know," Amara said, her voice quiet but steady. "He taught me everything he knew before he died." The colonel's gaze dropped to the ground. The mocking tone from earlier was gone. In its place was something Amara didn't expect: respect. "You didn't come here to prove a point, did you?" he asked finally. "No, sir," she replied. "I came to see where my father's legacy lives on." Rickson nodded slowly, his face unreadable. Then, to everyone's shock, he stood at attention and saluted her. "Master Chief Lewis's daughter," he said solemnly. "You honor him well." And just like that, the girl they had laughed at only minutes ago stood taller than any man on that range. The salute hung in the air like a banner of respect, freezing every man on the range in place. Amara blinked, startled by the sudden shift. Only minutes ago, these soldiers, men who prided themselves on toughness and skill, had smirked and whispered about her. Now, they looked at her as though she belonged here, as though she'd always belonged. Colonel Rickson dropped his hand and let out a long breath, his face softening for the first time. "Your father trained you well," he said. "Better than most of the men who come through this base." "Thank you, sir," Amara replied, her voice steady even though her chest felt tight. He glanced at the rifle still resting on the bench. "You broke a record today. A SEAL record. Do you know how many men have tried and failed to do that?" Amara shook her head. "I wasn't trying to break anything. I just wanted to prove I could shoot." Rickson nodded slowly. "You didn't just prove you could. You proved you're exceptional." The SEALs gathered closer now, no longer whispering or mocking. One of them, a tall man with sergeant stripes, stepped forward. "Ma'am, I've never seen a civilian fire like that. You've got a gift." "She's got more than a gift," Rickson cut in sharply. "She's got discipline. That doesn't come from talent alone. That's Master Chief Lewis's training. And it shows." He turned back to her, his expression unreadable. "Listen carefully, Amara. I don't make this offer often. Amara tensed. I can get you into the Navy's marksmanship program. Civilian, enlisted, it doesn't matter. You've got what it takes to train with the best. And if you want it, I'll personally recommend you for advanced SEAL training. The words hit her like a thunderclap. Me? A SEAL? Rickson's lips twitched into a faint smile. I laughed at you once. I won't make that mistake again. You're the kind of person this team needs. Amara glanced down at her hands, calloused, grease-stained, and trembling slightly. She'd always imagined her father proud of her for surviving, for fighting through the hard days. But this was her chance to honor his legacy and build her own. Sir, she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. If you're serious, then yes. I want that chance. The colonel nodded. Then welcome to the start of your journey, Lewis. Let's see how far you can go. 2 months later, the sound of boots pounding the ground echoed across the SEAL training field. Amara Lewis stood at attention, her chest rising and falling with each deep breath. Her uniform felt stiff against her skin, her shoulders aching from endless drills. But her eyes burned with determination. Colonel Rickson watched her from a distance, arms folded. She's not just surviving, he thought. She's thriving. The first weeks of training had been brutal. Some recruits had already been dropped from the program. Others whispered that Amara was only there because of her father's name. She ignored them. Every push-up, every mile, every drop of sweat was her way of proving she didn't just inherit her father's legacy, she was earning her own. Lewis, barked a senior instructor. You're up. Show me if you can hit a moving target. Amara stepped forward, gripping her rifle with steady hands. The target drones whirred to life, darting across the field at lightning speed. Begin. Crack. 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 The shots rang out, clean and precise. One by one, the drones went down. Amara didn't hesitate, didn't waver. The instructors watched in stunned silence as she landed her final shot with perfect accuracy. Time, 38 seconds, the instructor announced. Record broken. A murmur rippled through the recruits. Some stared in disbelief, others with growing respect. Colonel Rickson approached slowly. You've done it again, Lewis. Your father would have been proud. Amara lowered her rifle and looked him in the eye. I'm proud too, sir. But I'm not done yet. Rickson smiled faintly. Good. Because the SEALs don't need people who are done. They need warriors who never stop pushing. As the sun set over the training grounds, Amara stood tall, the faint outline of her father's trident tattoo visible beneath her sleeve. She had come to the base as the girl under the truck. Now, she was Amara Lewis, the recruit who shattered every expectation. This wasn't the end. It was only the beginning.